Alright, hello everybody. I'm back. We are back with Far Cry 3, and I believe last time we played this game we managed to kill Voss, and have killed the most interesting character in the game, so now we're headed off to the southern island. I think the general consensus is that this is when the game falls off a little bit. It's still fun. It's still a good game, but it is regrettable that Voss dies partway through. I don't know. I try to like in my head go because I remember watching. I think it was like Pyrocynical's whole rundown of this game. Like he does a really, really exhaustive rundown of like Far Cry 3 and like all the connections between the characters and the symbolism.
Thanks. Listen, before you go, I have a favor to ask. Help me take out Hoyt.
Can't be done. Be easier to find a whisker on a Samoan. Although you're welcome to try. I had an agent over there once. He's still alive, I think.
Can you help me get there?
I'm flying over Hoyt's Island on my way to Russia if you want to ride. I'll send you the coordinates.
Perfect. I'll be there.
Plane's leaving in a few minutes. With or without you.
I'm glad we're getting something out of our little interactions with Willis. Very nice to dump us on the island on his way to Russia. But anyway, what was it? It was, as I was saying, last time we killed Voss, we've got to, killed Voss, and now we're on the way to the southern island in order to get Hoyt. I'm going in the wrong direction. There we go. I always thought that Willis actually wasn't like a CIA operator. I always thought he was like he was just kind of faking it. Like he was just a dude who ended up on the island, and his way of trying to keep himself sane was just staying to the island and like making up this little fantasy. Like that was his way of just kind of coping. But after like he pops up in like Far Cry 4 and 5, I think, as like a CIA dude. So I think he I guess it was real. He's just the CIA just doesn't do much in the situations provided. Actually, I need to go to the bathroom actually real quick. Hang on. I'll be back. Alright, sorry about that. Don't ask too much about the biomechanics of why a banana needs to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to explain it to you. Just out of interest for everyone, including myself. But yeah, I'm excited. The main reason I'm excited we're heading to, like, an island. Is that a white tiger? Hang on. Willis? I gotta take care of something real quick. What's the point of having a rare, beautiful animal on an island if you aren't going to kill it? That's what video games have taught me. Excellent. Alright, it'd be absolutely hilarious if they failed the mission as a result of that little diversion. One thing I was thinking about before hopping on was just kind of how different the skill tree systems are between the Far Cry games. Because, like, in... what was it? In Far Cry 2, there was, like, no progression. Like, your only progression in Far Cry 2 was, I think it was literally just you, I think it was literally just, like, the guns that you had. It was the equipment that you could get your hands on, and you would get better guns, but that's about it. Your character kind of never got... your character never really got tougher or anything. He just kind of... your character just kind of was.
The pirates have surrounded me. Come quickly.
Well, looks like you need me here after all. Holy fucking shit! God, Willis, you are taking a lot of bullets. That's not very healthy for you, man. Whatever.
Those pinkos took the wind out of her sails. I have to fix this.
Hey, outdated terminology, man. I don't think these guys are communists. I think they're just criminals. Hang on. What are my arrows bound to? I don't have any. Hang on.
Sounds like more inbound. Cover me.
Why do you randomly stand still? These guys keep throwing my arrows off because I expect them to keep running like normal people, and then they just randomly stop. Heal. How do you lead shots with this thing? These arrows go so slow. This is what happens when you take a week break from a game. You just lose all capability. Oh my god. Whatever. It's halfway there. Where's the rest of them? I remember having some trouble with this mission in the past. Hang on. Do I have an endorphin booster? I do. Ugh, that's the good stuff. There we go. I'm gonna have to take down the rest of these guys. Good thing I have drugs, otherwise this would have been a lot harder. Alright. I've completely demolished the area in the interest of keeping you safe, Willis. How do you feel? You guys doing great. Is that a helicopter right here? Bro, get me in there. I don't want to be here anymore. Kill the remaining pirates! Hang on. I need to whip out my my Molotov. Fine. Wait, that worked? You can just stab him? They're both facing me. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. This is not at all how you're supposed to play this game. This is dumb. You know, I labeled this stream as a challenge run, but it really isn't. It really isn't.
You find this plane in Russia?
No, you kidding? I'm upgrading in Singapore. You know it's illegal to buy or chew gum anywhere in Singapore? Gum is one of the great American pastimes. Those rice pickers are basically declaring war on Uncle Sam.
Thanks.
Cool. I guess.
Get in.
Wait, why would they make gum illegal? There's gotta be a reason. Someone must have done something really, really stupid with some gum.
Oh, that reminds me. My man Sam is embedded with Hoyt's troops. If you whistle the Star-Spangled Banner in Thurston at the Crazy Cock Bar, he'll know I sent you.
Star Spangled in the cock bar, got it.
I gave my whole life to the agency. I made my share of mistakes, but it's about to pay off. Yes, sir. I'm almost out of the jungle. Woo!
You gotta respect a man who really loves what he does. What do you mean by that? Said the caterpillar sternly. Explain yourself. I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, said Alice, because I'm not myself, you see. I don't see, said the caterpillar. Yeah, I don't see either.
This is your stop! Fly, Jason, fly!
Are you sure this wingsuit works?
I'm not wearing a wingsuit. I'm still in a short sleeve.
Your arms, it's gonna work!
This blue t-shirt, it's just as... Oh, no, wait, is that... No, wait, no, that's a t-shirt.
Proud to serve my country!
Alright, there we go. We, at long last, have a wingsuit.
That was awesome.
Kill the pirates to take their truck.
As if the Sam is even real.
Nah, I guess we'll just stick with this. I've got a flamethrower. I've got one arrow. Oh. Dude. You'd probably be able to make the sickest nature documentary if you got lost on an island like this and just took videos. Let's see. I need to be smart about this because I've only got one arrow. Okay, we're good. The truck is mine. I've claimed it for my country. Proudly owned by the USA. Alright. How are we looking? So we are now officially, yep, we're officially in the Southern Islands. So it's a whole new area. It's got its own towers. It's got its own outposts. It's got its own everything. Officially in the second half of the game. We're actually making pretty good time. I'm pretty sure this game took me like a really long time the first time I played it. I think it probably took me like 20 to 30 hours, something like that. But that was mostly because I was trying to, oh yeah, these guys are pretty casual about me. That was mostly because I was trying to play, I think I was playing it on console, so I was much worse at it, and also I was,
Holy shit. The crazy cock exists.
and it was also that the, what else? Jason said crazy cock, and I just lost my train of thought. It was, right, 20 to 30 hours to beat the game the first time I played it, and that was also because I was trying to get all of the, the unlocks for all of the craftable, pieces of equipment. So I was upgrading my rucksack and my ammo and all that, like I did the whole thing.
Hey.
Hey. Beer?
Yeah.
Yep, sipping beers and killing privateers. That's the name of the game.
I'm looking for a friend. Privateer named Sam.
There's only one Sam I know. There's a regular poker game at the back. Oh, it's privateers mostly. You might want to think about getting yourself invited.
Where are you going?
You see, while you guys were wasting all of your money on bullets, I happen to be flush with cash.
Don't waste your time if you can't afford the buy-in.
This enough?
All right, you're in.
I got this selling stale condoms that I keep finding on pirates. Hey there, fellas.
Willkommen to the game. Fresh blood. Have a seat.
Alright, so... yeah, it's an actual oh god, what happened to the camera sensitivity? Oh, I'm like barely moving my mouse. Jesus Christ, why would you do this to me? Alright, look at hand, what do we got? An 8 and a queen, that's not the best, but whatever.
I call.
At least we got a face card, that's nice. Well, I guess we did the ante, we'll check. I know a little bit about poker, I'm not the best at. Okay, cool, we've got a pair. Hang on. Alright, one pair, that's about it. Come on, let's spice it up a little bit, fellas.
See your bet and I'll raise.
I'm out.
Alright, we got one man with some skin in the game. No! Cowards! What is this? Alright, got 21. Well, I guess that's the money I spent to get in back. Alright, I've got a small blind, post big blind. 5 and a 3. Ew. Okay.
This hand bores me. I'm cashing out.
Already?
You'd like me to continue playing, Carl? Should we raise the stakes?
No, Sam. I was just saying.
Good.
Guess I'm done too.
No refunds.
Alright, I gotcha. Handlebar. Alright, out we go. Alright, Sam, come on and shoot me. There we go.
Who do you work for?
Willis sent me.
How is he? I have been concerned about him, hearing nothing all these years.
He's fine, I guess.
Headed off to Russia. He has completely abandoned all of us.
Where did he go?
Alright. Going this way. I think it's a little late to talk to Herc. I'm not gonna lie. I think you could actually teleport back to the main island. The first island if you use the fast travel system. Hang on. Let's get another health slot. And the last health slot. Alright, we're fully stacked. I think now we have to... Body armor, partially drained, health, partially drained. Yeah, I kind of want to finish out the shark at some point. Then we've got the spider. That'd be handy. Automatically loot a target one before my takedown. Double death. Handgun kills. No. No, it doesn't look like it. We'll go. Get ninja step. I do stealth a little bit. All right, we're looking snazzy. Look at that. Yeah. Anyway, these are Hoyt's privateers. This is a really low res picture. That's kind of funny, but yeah. So Hoyt kind of has his own little private army that he pays for with the fabulous amounts of money he gets from kidnapping people and manufacturing drugs.
All these criminals. It's too much. It is so easy to fool them. Everybody thinks I am a bad guy because I come from Germany. I was promoted because of an accent. Sit.
Yeah, these guys don't seem too smart, so I guess that makes sense.
This mission.
I want to kill Hoyt.
Scheiße. Wait. You're Jason Brody, yeah? You finished off Voss.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me? We must hide you. Hoyt will blow you into 1,000 Stücke. This will not be easy. You have become a victim of your own
I like how
success.
whenever there's someone who's clearly a foreigner compared to all the other characters in the story is around, they have to constantly remind you that they're foreign because they have to like just throw in a word from whatever their native language is, or else you might forget.
Only about seas.
What are you thinking?
99999. Oder ja. Erledigt.
Yeah, like that.
Enlist with the privateers. Also, no arguments. This is a two-man operation, and I need you on the inside. First things first, you must look the part.
How?
We steal a uniform. The new recruits are brought in and processed down by the docks. Find a recruit. Make sure nobody recovers his body. And steal his gear. Contact me on this frequency afterwards.
Alright. Cool, there's 8 new weapons available to buy. I'm not gonna touch those.
Hello?
Jason, did you make it to Hoyt's Island?
Yes.
You have nearly reached the end of the path. Citra is convinced that you will become the most powerful warrior in the tribe. all the Tatao will be yours. If you survive.
I guarantee it.
I knew it, Jason. To reach the center, you must let all the keys of your past life fall away. Only Citra and the path must remain.
I know what I'm doing.
Good luck.
That's actually a really cool thing that they do, where they go, oh yeah, so if you complete the path and you do everything Citra wants you to do, you will get all the Tatao. Like, you'll get the final Tatao. And I always found that really, when I was younger, when this game originally came out, which was much further in the past than I thought it was, I was actually kind of tempted when it was mentioned that, oh yeah, you'll get all of the Tatao, because the Tatao is power, right? It's your skill points. So it was like, I was like, oh, the final Tatao, like the completionist in me kind of wanted it, because I was like, oh yeah, no, if you look at the tattoo, what is it? You can see the tattoo here. I don't think you can get this last thing in like normal gameplay. I think like you get like up to here. I might be totally wrong on that, but it's like you can kind of tell that you can kind of tell that they would put something else there that you're missing. And that really, that actually made the whole prospect of, using the, of actually, like, making a certain decision that you make late in the game actually much more tempting than it otherwise would have been. God damn, stop moving. Oh, that guy's in trouble. I'm telling you, some of these arrows are just disappearing. Like, they're not going anywhere. Oh, the dogs came after me. I always found one thing I always found frustrating about Far Cry is that sometimes, because like in Skyrim, which I do consider one of this game's peers, they basically one of the things that happens is that you'll often find yourself like kind of running along a path, and then nothing really happens for a little bit, which gives you time to sort of, I guess, like appreciate the environment, listen to the music, and then maybe talk to a traveler or two along the way. I felt like Skyrim had a pretty good pacing, because like they'd still throw some wolves or some spiders or something in your way and you'd run into them. But the comparison is that in Far Cry, especially Far Cry 5, the game's like afraid to let you just kind of relax. So they'll just dump shit on you all the time, which is why you'll have times where you go, oh, I want to go and I want to play like I just want to drive around a bit. And then, like, you run into one group of dudes, and then if you stop and fight them to get to like, you know, deal with them because they ran into you, then, like, another group of guys comes along, then another one, and then another one. It's happened before in Far Cry 5, where it's like, oh, I dealt with this group of enemies, and then another group of enemies comes, and then a bear comes and attacks me, and then a turkey comes and attacks me, and then another group of enemies comes after me, and then it just never stops. And I always found that a little annoying. Man, I miss having a grappling hook. that Far Cry 4 added a grappling hook, and honestly, that was a really, really big plus in that game. Like they brought it back for 5 and 6, and it was that 100% made sense. Another thing that came up recently was that I was looking at a what was it? I was looking at a hang on. I was looking at Far Cry New Dawn. So Far Cry New Dawn, for those of you who don't know, it was an expansion that they made for Far Cry 5, and it basically, Far Cry 5 had multiple endings, kind of, but Far Cry New Dawn kind of canonized one of them, sort of, and made it so that like one of the endings like kind of had a it kind of followed through on one of them, and this was weird and kind of interesting, but also it was an ending I really disliked, so I was a little upset about it. But New Dawn, as it turned out, was kind of not great, if you ask me. It was what was it? It had they did this weird thing with the gameplay where it's like, cause like Far Cry had been kind of getting sort of samey, and I think people were noticing that. They had noticed it back in Far Cry 4, I think, but nope. Okay. All right, I died. One thing I forgot about this game is that if you activate the wingsuit, if at any point you contact like, oh my god, it spawned me back here. If at any point you make contact with a single surface, you just die instantly. That's how the wingsuit works in this game. It's a little weird. Anyway, in Far Cry New Dawn, you run around, and they added a leveling mechanic to the game then, because like in Far Cry 3, 4, and 5, they're pretty typical for shooters. You run around, you shoot people, incidentally. And it's kind of, enemies kind of have an expected amount of durability, so do you. Like, guns are dangerous, they remain dangerous. You can't really, like, level out of that. You do get more health, as evidenced by my health bar to the left of the mini-map, but, it's still kind of, most of the time, people still feel fragile from how many bullets it generally takes to kill a person. When you headshot them, they die. Far Cry New Dawn added like a soft RPG mechanic that made it so that enemies had levels, your settlement had levels, and your guns had levels. So basically, if you had a gun that was below the level of the guy you were trying to shoot, they immediately became a little bit spongier, and it was harder to kill them. It was kind of negligible for like level 1 and level 2, but once you got to like level 3 or 4-ish, I think, I don't remember what the max level was in that game, but when you get to like level 3 or 4-ish, like you start to notice that like if you've got a level 3 gun and you're shooting a level 4 enemy, it takes a lot of bullets to kill them. The fire arrow was simply too good. Simply too good. Oh god. Oh god, it's getting out of hand. Alright, well I was done using the Jeep anyway. Oop. God, I'm telling you, the game just fucking dumps dudes on you. It's kinda crazy. Alright. But I'm pretty sure the main reason they added that leveling system to New Dawn was because the game was much smaller than like the other Far Cry games, and that kind of made it it kind of felt like they were gating the content a little bit. Like they wanted to slow you down so that they could really make it stretch. Because it's like, oh yeah, I want to do the next mission, but the next mission's a level 3 mission, and I still have level 2 equipment, and like I've got level 2 health, I've got level 2 weapons and stuff, and that means that going through the mission's gonna be absolutely abjectly miserable. Yeah, the second island's when the platforming gets a little wacky, and you start having to do some weird stuff to get around. Like jumping at things at angles, or climbing on those little, like, those really thin, things. Yeah, I don't know. New Dawn, I beat... The way I played New Dawn is I didn't actually buy the game. I got Uplay Plus for like a month, and then... I got Uplay Plus for a month when Watch Dogs Legion came out, and Far Cry New Dawn was like on there, and I was like, okay, well, I never played New Dawn because it didn't look like my kind of thing, and I was still really salty about Far Cry 5. And I got... I started playing Watch Dogs Legion, and I'm kind of glad I did Uplay Plus, because as it turns out, I didn't like either of those games very much. New Dawn was still, like... The thing about Far Cry is that I still think the gameplay's fun. I like the shooting, and, like, the running around and doing takedowns part of it. That's fine. But it was the story just really wasn't speaking to me, and the... I don't know. Post-apocalyptic is, like, really near and dear to my heart, and I don't really... I feel like New Dawn kind of did it, but also kind of phoned it in a little. I don't know. I guess you couldn't do... I guess there was only so much that you could really do about... I guess there was only so much you could really do with the amount of, like, time and space that New Dawn had to work with, but it's still... I don't know how to say this better. It's still, it's like, it didn't really do anything unique. I feel it just kind of copied other things. Like, the main thing that was unique about it was that, oh, instead of it being like a horrible wasteland, we decided to make it so that the apocalypse is colorful, and there's all of this art, and there's all of this, like, graffiti, and, like, everything's really pink and magenta for some reason, and, everything's really, really extremely colorful, and there's nature everywhere. There's, like, a super bloom, yada yada. But they still kind of went really punky with the enemies, which was something that Mad Max did because it was a very punk-like movie genre-wise, and people just kind of adapted after that without really like. They just kind of adapted that, and I don't really think no one has ever done it as well as Mad Max did. And also the Highwaymen just weren't very interesting. You had Mickey and Lou, who were their leaders, and I don't know. I didn't really get much out of Mickey and Lou either, because they made it seem like they didn't sound so much like they were really like interesting like characters with a point to make, as they were characters that thought they were really interesting and had a point to make, and were just getting in your face about it. Like, they're bandits. Don't dress it up. That's literally all they are. They don't do anything special besides that, and they just felt so secondary once you dealt with some of the other stuff in that game. And I'm talking a lot about it. I didn't think New Dawn was like terrible, but I definitely would not have paid $40 for it, and I'm glad I didn't. Same thing with Legion, but I think Legion straight up was just a missed opportunity. Man, I'm messing this up. Takedowns are kind of funky because enemies just stare at you and then like keep their torsos like rotated towards you the whole time they're shooting at you. Also, wow, there's like a lot of privateers here. Where are these arrows going? Get all those arrows back, thank you. I wasn't too big on Watch Dogs ever, so I'm not sure why I thought like Legion would have been like a special thing, but because like Watch Dogs 1 was interesting, but it didn't really speak to me, and then Watch Dogs 2 was more interesting and had Watch Dogs 2 was really weird because it's like the characters in Watch Dogs are hackers, right? But they're more like violent revolutionaries sometimes because they have guns, they shoot people, including the cops. So it's like they're in their effort to deal with a serious societal issue, they violently acquire like information that they believe has been stolen from them. It's because like the big problem in Watch Dogs is that there's like a company or a system that has acquired everyone's data and is like that's opening the window to all sorts of crazy stuff that's happening. and everyone's and no one's safe and all that. In Watch Dogs 1, it's kind of more like I guess like a weird revenge story. I didn't really play it, but like the main character was this like gruff dude who has someone else do the hacking part for him, and then he just kind of runs around and stabs and shoots people while using his phone to just kind of do the hacking stuff. And in Watch Dogs 2, instead you play as a bunch of really smarmy kids who are an interesting group of people, but the second you whip out a gun and start shooting cops, it becomes a lot less fun. You know? Like, the tone just feels really wrong. It's like, oh yeah, we're all, like, cool, quirky, like, interesting, like tech people. We all do our own, we're all... You know, we're like the up-and-coming, like, youth, the 20-somethings that are trying to change the world in whatever way we can, and then, like, the second they start literally killing people, it's just different. That game's much better when you play it non-lethally. Or, like, it makes more sense when you play it non-lethally, is how I would put it. Casually stride up here. Alright, gotcha, buddy. What? There's a dog on me! This game's doing that a lot, just dumping a dog behind me when I'm... Where'd it go? Alright, I'm not gonna think too hard about that. I like how the Rakyat just appears here. Like, there's no prelude to it, they just kind of... They're here too, I guess. They don't have an HQ, and there's no one like managing them over here, like there is with Citra. But you know, they're here.
Got the bullets. Nothing to be afraid of. The outpost is ours, but if you want to truly help the Rakyat, you should check out the bulletin board.
Check the bulletin board. Okay, we have claimed this area. I kind of want to get that other outpost before we do the next objective. I don't know, Far Cry is one of those series where, like, I'm not sure if any of you feel the same way about something, but it's like you kind of really like it, but what you see in it just isn't what it is sometimes. Like, you think that there's something really good here, and you really want to see it become what you think it's worthy of being, but it just falls short of that a lot of the times, and then, like, you just kind of go, ah, God, why? Why is it like this? Like, I was really excited for, Far Cry 5 when it got announced, and I was, like, waiting with bated breath, and then, like, I started playing it, and then it was just kind of one thing after another was starting to annoy me. Like, I was really happy at first. I was going like, oh yeah, no, it's a cult. Like, it's super messed up and weird and interesting. And, like, we've got all sorts of, like, you know, they're kidnapping and hurting people. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to save Hope County. And I'm going to, like, kind of go, like, really pick at the brains and see what these crazy cult people are doing. And then it's got to be cool. And then I was excited to be, like, the deputy who, like, you know, I'm the law around here. I'm like a police guy who's coming in to try and, like, deal with the problem. And then what happened? And then I kind of played the game, and then I got a feeling for what the game actually was. And then that was a little awkward because I think the main thing that brushed up against me, the main thing that upset me, was that it's the way the game gives you its story is that it kidnaps you routinely. I think I mentioned this on stream before, but it's like you fill up these gauges in each of the regions that you're in, and those gauges have little notches on them, and every time you get through a notch, it's that means you increase, like, your resistance level in the area, and then as your resistance level increases, whoever's in charge of whatever cult leader's in charge of the area goes, looks like someone around there has murdered literally dozens of my troops. I don't like that very much. I'm going to cryptically imply that I'm going to make you see how I see things. and I'm going to come get you. And then the game infinitely spawns capture parties in your area that if they hit you once, they instantly disable you, and then like they drag you off to go do something. In John's region, they hit you with bliss bullets, which I think are literally bullets that are coated in drugs, which knock you out instantly. In Jacobs, it makes a little bit more sense, in which they shoot you with arrows that I assume are also laced with drugs. I don't think one arrow, like, I don't wanna assume that they just the developers just decided that the cutscene arrow that shoots you instantly takes you down, whereas normal in gameplay arrows don't. What is it? Faith just captures you with drug magic. That's not very well explained, but it's a whole thing, as you can imagine. And each region, you get kidnapped 3 times. So you get kidnapped 9 times across the whole game. So you it's kind of weird, especially since like for the rest of the for pretty much the rest of the game, you don't have really hard to figure the drop on this bow, I gotta say. But for the rest of the game, you're just kind of running around and blowing shit up, and then when you do a side quest, it's usually with some goofy caricature of a person, like some guy that literally just cannot speak English, but your character infers what he wants and gives you an objective, or like you know, a bunch of like everything is like a parody of American culture, but then you run into the main villains, and they're trying to give you like a serious talk about what's going on, and then try to convince you that like what they're doing, despite being literally objectively awful, is supposed to be this important necessary thing, and that it's really shitty of you to try to stop them from literally murdering everyone in the county. And I don't know, that just didn't sit very well with me. Also, the ending was just objectively garbage, I think. I was not a very big fan of Far Cry 5's ending. I say ending singular because only one of the endings connects to the fucking expansion that they made for the game, and the other endings just kind of really... It's like especially awful because it's like... Does it really matter if I spoil it? Okay, so in Far Cry 5, there's 3 endings. The first ending is if you just walk away. That doesn't make any sense if you ask me, because in the game you play as a deputy, and you've got you're working with a sheriff, and like you're working with a sheriff who's working with a marshal. Like you're a whole team of of law enforcement individuals, and the first ending is you just walking away, as in like you just don't do your job. Like your character is established as you are here to enforce the law, and you have a video of the cult grabbing and presumably executing a person for recording one of their, like, I guess, sermons. So naturally, you would have to investigate, wouldn't you? Like look into it, see what happens. But everyone's like, oh, you don't want to mess with the project at Eden's Gate. You're gonna, like, it's a bad idea. But you're fucking cops. Like I don't know what the point is there. And then there's so that ending doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. It's clearly like a continuation of the mindset for the ending that they had for Far Cry 4, where in that game it's like the whole idea is that you play as a guy who's coming like back to his mom's homeland to like spread her ashes. And then when you go there, you find out that it's been taken over by like a megalomaniacal emperor named Pagan Min, who just kind of like he invites you to his palace after executing a guy in front of you, and then goes like, oh yeah, come over, hang out at my place, and then he treats you to some crab rangoon, and then like you just kind of sit in the chair like at a table while someone's getting tortured in his palace, and he's like, oh, just sit right there, I'll be right back. And if you sit there and literally wait, he comes back and goes, okay, let's help you get your mother's ashes like where they need to be. And then presumably you just do that and then go back to America, which is where the main character is actually from. And that's fine, but in the canon thing, I think, is that you actually stand up and then you play the game that you fucking paid for, and go out, you party with a bunch of revolutionaries, by which I mean you systematically destroy Pagan Min's whole operation, and then kill like a lot of people. And then when you get to the end, Pagan Min goes, I'm talking to some maniac that killed his way up my mountain. And then, like, it tries to guilt you for trying to stop him while he very clearly wasn't doing a very okay thing. But in that game, there's a bit more nuance to it because what Pagan Min does actually suppresses a couple things in the nation that actually are problems. One being that they're super traditionalist, and some of their rituals are just kind of not okay. For example, like there's a girl who's supposedly like I think like the reincarnation of some like some mythical religious figure. So as a result, what happens is if you side with there's two rebellion leaders that you can side with. One of them is a guy who wants to return the place to its roots and then follow the whole theocratic ideas that he has for the nation, which in the end results in him marrying this like little preteen girl who supposedly is like a religious figure, and then she's supposedly going to go through a whole life of just dedicating her her whole life just kind of gets upended, I guess, for the purpose of tradition. And then I think he also starts suppressing and executing heretics who don't believe aren't considered faithful enough. So naturally not a good thing. Other one is a woman who basically becomes like a drug lord who after taking over the whole country kind of kicks up their opium production. So that's not okay, and it's basically a sort of like, oh, both sides are bad. Like that's kind of what it turns out to be at the end. Presumably, like people try to say that the good ending is if you kill both of the resistance leaders and then just presumably take over the whole island, not the whole island, the whole country yourself. But like, that's not a thing they made cutscenes for, and they didn't really do much with it conceptually. And also, the main character, Ajay, has like the personality of a cardboard box. So I don't really think it's implied that he'd be worth a damn as a leader. Just clearing out my rucksack a bit, because I really don't need any of this stuff. That should be everything. Okay, there we go. Got all I need. But in, what was it? So Far Cry 4 technically has multiple endings, but in Far Cry 5, so one of the endings is that you just walk away, which doesn't make sense at the beginning of the game. And then the second ending is when you could choose to either walk away or I've never played Far Cry games, but it does seem like it could be more. Yeah, in Far Cry 5, the problem is that you go through the whole game, right? So the whole deal with Far Cry 5, I'll probably talk about this even more, or there'll be more detail if I play the game on my channel here. But that's gonna be a while. Basically, what the deal is that the whole time you're fighting the project at Eden's Gate, which is the cult, they're called Peggies because PEG is like the acronym, which is pretty funny. And what happens is that you go through, you wipe out the cult. The whole time you're like going through Montana, you're given very clear objective reasons to think, okay, the cult is clearly a bunch of evil maniacs because they are constantly murdering people, they are burning mass graves, all of the people that work for them are like maniacs, they just kind of randomly kill animals too for some reason, and then they also they are also dumping hallucinogenic psychotropic drugs. Like they have this stuff called Bliss, which is based off of like this I think like camellia, no, but it's based off of like these really white flowers that just kind of grow all over the region, and those apparently the cult has figured out how to refine those drugs to the point where they can make them into that, they can use them to brainwash people, they can use it to cause hallucinations, they can use it to knock people out. It just does everything. It just does every drug thing you could possibly imagine.
Can't kill anyone, can't put them on alert.
Oh yeah, this is a no-kill mission. This one's weird.
Can't jump in the cenote, too risky.
Why not? It's right there. Why would you put a giant pool at the bottom there within jumping distance if you don't want me to jump into it?
Can't kill anyone, can't put them on alert.
But yeah, anyway, whole game through Far Cry 5, you're killing a bunch of cult members, and then like it's really weird. I find the kidnapping thing really stupid because it implies that the cult they could literally just send a person over to kill you literally at any time. It implies that there is nothing you can do to prevent them from just grabbing you if they feel like it. Which is weird, because the entire game, you just dismantle every operation they have set up. You take out all of their outposts, you do a bunch of missions that, like, destroy all their little projects, and, like, you murder their people by the dozen. And then it just isn't until and then it just doesn't matter until, like, one of the cult leaders goes, well, you've done a bad thing now here, Mr. Deputy. I'm gonna have to grab you and give you a stern talking to. And then they kidnap you, and then they dump you somewhere, and then you are stuck watching them monologue for a while. I'm pretty sure when the game originally came out, you couldn't skip any cutscenes either, so you're stuck there and listening to this person say a bunch of vague, inane bullshit. That is like, you know how like when people give you advice in like fortune cookies or like for horoscope stuff, it's really, really generic advice that could apply to like a whole slew of different possibilities. So as a result, it feels like it could apply to you, but it really doesn't. The cult leaders talk exactly like that. So they'll monologue at you for a little while about how bad everything is and how that means that they need to murder and kidnap people until they've taken over an entire county to save them. And how, like, the father's right. Why don't you listen to him or say if he's right? But literally every time Joseph Seed talks to you, it's about how it's just a bunch of bullshit about how, oh, the end's coming. Oh, I had a daughter. Oh, my daughter, I killed my daughter. Like, he just doesn't say anything of substance, and like that was okay when like I had the mindset of, oh, these guys are cult people, they're clearly just trying to manipulate and like take control of an area, because that's what cults actually are like, right? But instead, what happens in the end of the game is you get to turn away or you get to resist. And what that means is that like you've dismantled the cult. You've killed all of the leaders except for the big one at the end, except for Joseph Seed. That you've got him cornered against a lake, and then he holds his hands out like do you want to take me? God won't let you take me. And then if you just walk away and leave, a character's just like, yeah, this is a good idea, we should just walk away and leave. And this is the same guy who in an earlier cutscene goes, yeah, you should kill that cult, you should go and just wipe him out. And then like another character's like, what are we doing? And then he's like, he's like, we're walking away, we're leaving him alone. And then you all board into a car and then leave. And then you and then when you leave the game, when you leave the fucking, like, the game, you're in the car and a radio plays, and the thing that plays on the station is a song that one of the cult leaders used to brainwash you earlier. So your character just turns to the left and then looks at the guy who's driving the car, and then the screen turns red, which implies that you just murdered everyone in the car anyway, because you've still got the cult brainwash programming going on in your brain. So that's the walk away ending. Sucks. Then you've got the resist ending where you handcuff Joseph Seed, and you want to know what happens? A fucking nuke drops. Multiple nukes drop on Montana, and then the world ends. Because apparently the big twist is that, oh, Joseph Seed was right. The fucking world's ending. You should have listened to him. Don't you feel bad? No, I don't. And like, it's so annoying because it's like, Joseph Seed, like, not only is he right, and not only does, like, he and everyone else survive, like, multiple close contacts with nuclear explosions, but also, like, what happens is that he, like, as you drive off, he just grabs you. All the other people in the car with you just kind of, like, blow up or something. Joseph Seed's 100% fine. He just drags you off, goes into a bunker that is manned by like, a paranoid, like, a libertarian prepper dude, somehow manages to not only get into the bunker, but also kill the prepper dude, and then handcuffs you to a bed, and then the credits roll. That's the whole ending. And it's the worst. It's the fucking worst. I ranted about it for, like, hours to a friend of mine, like, across multiple days about how annoyed I was that was the fucking ending, because it's such a... I don't want to get into it right now because I want to play. I'm playing this game and I don't want to be too rude to like a game series that like I'm currently playing and enjoying. But it's like, it's so frustrating.
My house. Hey,
What's that?
sand and water, sand and water. You know what sand and water is? It's called mud.
What keeps you doing that?
That's for a race.
It's like it's kind of funny because there were two games that had nuke endings that I extremely disliked. One was Far Cry 5 and the other one was Hotline Miami 2. Hotline Miami 2 made a little bit more sense because that game was always kind of nihilistic, and also like Hotline Miami was always about kind of like a dialogue between the developer and the player. So like the nuke ending annoyed the shit out of me, but it did kind of make a little bit more sense when I realized it was just the developer saying, "Yeah, we're not making a Hotline Miami 3, fuck off." But Far Cry 5 just, it felt like such a huge cop. It just felt like such a huge cop out. It felt like them saying, "Oh yeah, we've got we need a good twist to get at the end of this fucking bullshit story." And they're like, "What if we made it right? Wouldn't that be so cool? Wouldn't that be so wacky and crazy if we made it so that they were like the cult leaders were right the whole time?" Wow, we're so clever.
Sam, I'm good to go. Guy's ID says his name is Foster, so how am I supposed to act?
Like a fossa. Remember, be gullible. You must believe your own lie to sell it.
Also, this I'm pretty sure this uniform now has a giant machete hole in the chest, but we'll just ignore that. I'm sure we'll come up with a good excuse.
All right, Hoyt's coming in for inspection of his new men. Everyone line up for processing. Prepare for scanning. Clear.
How's it go?
Next, come on, move forward. All right. Let's go.
Another thing about Far Cry 5's ending was that like it was one of those
All right, next.
it was one of those games with like it had an ending that I was so upset about that it was a game that I was so upset. The ending I was really upset about, and then I kept reading fan theories that made it sound a lot better than it turned out to be. I remember people came up with an explanation that like multiple times throughout Far Cry 5, your character gets like bombarded with like the bliss, like the super drug that the cult has going on, and he gets brainwashed. Like he gets brainwashed by Jacob, and he gets brainwashed by Jacob, he gets fucking mind-controlled and puppeteered by Faith, and then, like, you're constantly exposed to the bliss throughout the whole game. So, like, there's a theory that, like, the whole ending, like, the resist ending is just your character just completely losing the thread of reality and then everything exploding, them going, "Oh god, I think he's right, I can't reason right from wrong anymore," and then at the end you just kind of fully believe the lie or something like that, and that's you going nuts. But then the developers literally walked out and said, "No, that's not the ending, the nukes actually happened, that was real." And I was so upset. I was like, come on, this is your out. This is like Mass Effect 3 with the indoctrination ending all over again. Come on.
Was a diamond miner. Smoked a cigarette. Down into the earth he went. For that wonderful man. The company was God. I bring that same reverence to my humble business here.
I think one of the reasons why I want Far Cry to be really, really good is that, like, I played Far Cry 2, and Far Cry 2 was a really interesting, gotta be some kind of brain damage at some point. They had such a good opportunity to embrace a realistic thing. Yeah, yeah. I think the problem with Far Cry is that they had Far Cry 3 and they saw how much people liked Voss and didn't really like Jason. So what happened is that they kept emphasizing the villain more and the protagonist less as the games went on. I feel like they fixed it a little. I feel like they're starting to roll it back a bit in Far Cry 6. Because in Far Cry 6 they do have a big focus on the villains, but they don't really like They have a big focus on the villains, but it's, or the villain singular, Anton Castillo, who's played by Giancarlo Esposito, who does a really good fucking job. But they, also the main character kind of is a person. Like, he's actually real. But one thing that kind of sucked is that, like Far Cry 3, we have Jason, right? Jason actually has a story arc. I'm gonna tell you something. You wanna know how low people's standards are for stories in video games, or at least for like video games at the level that Far Cry's at? Fucking Jason having a story arc was a big fucking deal when Far Cry 3 came out. People were like, wow, he like changes as a person as a result of the result of what happens in the game. That's fucking nuts, dude. Anyway, yeah, Hoyt set a man on fire, yada yada. But that was like a big deal, because it wasn't just that Voss was kind of a nutso dude, it's that he was a nutso dude in the context of Jason also becoming kind of a maniac. Like, his whole deal is that, oh, you're actually not that different from me, because, like, you know, I might be a bloodthirsty maniac that like stabs people, that shoots and stabs people, but you do too. You probably killed more people than I have. Like, I feel like that's the point of that whole line where it's like, you know, he felt like that Alice in Wonderland quote from earlier, where it's like, you know, he felt at least a little bit bad about eating those things, but he ate more than the other guy. And it's like, oh, well, you might think that you have some thread of morality here, but you are killing way more people than Voss probably did. Like, Voss is like, you've got this thin veneer of morality because you're mostly killing pirates and, like, trying to save people, but also, like, it's not... Jason isn't focused on that. Jason's definitely focused on the killing, too.
Do not let them observe you doing suspicious things, like killing, strangling, bombing, electrocuting. Bluff them, Jason.
One of Hoyt's men
And then I think they kind of kept that momentum of, like, villain is really cool, villain makes you think, oh wow, maybe I'm actually just as bad as they are, but it's not as justified with the later characters, because the later characters aren't as interesting, there's not as much introspection, and also they keep making the villains so hilariously evil, and the main characters are just normal video game protagonists, so, like, it just kind of felt less... It felt less, it just didn't matter as much when you were going into, like, Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 5, because in Far Cry 4, like, Ajay doesn't talk, or, like, he barely talks. He gives very one-note, single-sentence answers whenever he's, like, confronted or, like, given any, like, directions from any of the characters, and he just doesn't really come across as if he cares that much about what's happening with the story or the game or anything. Then there's Far Cry 5, where your character's a silent protagonist. Your character doesn't exist. People just keep talking about, it's like, oh yeah, you're really good at fighting, and that's it. That's all you get. That's it. I don't know. I feel like Far Cry 6 was a good effort on them to, like, roll it back, but, like, I didn't finish that game because I had problems with the gameplay instead. Things were, like, flipped around. I usually play Far Cry for the gameplay and, like, the sort of experience of running around and shanking dudes, but I also, like... But after Far Cry 3, I just started really I started really just not liking the stories, so I just kind of I wasn't getting as much appreciation of that. I played Far Cry 6 pretty briefly. I just kind of had it for a month, so because I did the Uplay Plus thing again, and then I played it for a month. I played it for like a week and a half, and then I just couldn't go back to it. I just wasn't enjoying my time with it very much, and the reason I wasn't a big fan of the gameplay was because they made it. They did this thing in Far Cry 6 where the you can fight when you fight people, there's a sort of interaction between the ammo you use and the target you're trying to hit. Immersion is a difficult thing to do well. I've only played a few games that it works well enough that things being over the top don't feel ridiculous. That's the problem. The thing is that, like, I don't think Far Cry is so much about immersion as it is about having a meta narrative. Like, the deal was that, like, the murdering and, like, the violence that you occur is commented upon diegetically, and that works in some games, it doesn't in others. Like, a good example, like, it's like... What was it? Nakey Jakey, ridiculous name, but he does a good thing. When he talks about Last of Us Part 2, he mentioned once that, he mentions that he Like there's a sort of thing that people don't comment on in a lot of shooters, like especially shooters like Uncharted, where the main character, like in order to make the gameplay interesting, you kill a lot of people in these games. Like if you've ever counted out how many people you kill in a shooter, it's a lot. It's like a hilarious, it's a ridiculous amount of people. Like, in real life, if someone kills, like, 5 people, that's a lot. That's like a prolific murderer. In video games, you kill hundreds of people, triple digits. And it's, and most of the time they don't comment on it, because it's sort of like a... It's sort of like a silent agreement, I guess, between the player and the developer going like, okay, listen, this is a lot of people that are dying here, but this is what makes the game fun. So I'm not gonna think about it, you're not gonna think about it, we're just gonna go, okay, this is what it takes to make the game work, okay? And then you have a game that comes along like Last of Us Part 1, or like, I think Nier, or like, not Nier, I think Drakengard did this too. Just to give like a non-Western game credit for this idea, where it's like, oh yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how many people the main character kills. Let's look at it. What kind of person does that? And in Last of Us Part 1, it shows that Joel's a guy with really strong conviction and not very much, like, he doesn't have a lot of inherent value in the value of human life, because he's extremely grizzled from his time as from his time in the apocalypse, and from some stuff that happens to him during the story, and in Far Cry 3, like, the idea is that Jason becomes kind of a psycho murderer as the game goes on. Like, the first guy you kill, Jason backs off, goes, oh god, I just stabbed a man, and then the whole time, like, there's a little bit of an implication of a conflict between himself and, like, his own innate knack to fight. Like, there's a whole part when you're doing the whole drug sequence with Dr. Earnhardt's magic beans, not the magic beans, the mushrooms with the spores. Like, there's a part where I think Grant, Jason's brother, says, "Hey, wow, you're a natural with a gun," and then that's just like a thing. Like, it implies that there's some conflict there where Jason's like, "Wow, I'm really good at shooting things and people." And that obviously is part of why he's like such a crazy murderer over the progress of the game. And then he just kind of goes more into it. He goes full native, like, as the game goes on. And that's commented upon. Characters are like, oh yeah, you think you're not much better than anyone else. You're part of the island now, part of this whole murder ecosystem that's been built up here, and you're not better than anyone else as a result of it. And that's interesting. Like, that, like, most games don't do that. And then in Far Cry 4 and 5, it just kind of gets cheaper, because it's like it doesn't have the same build up or like dedication that Far Cry 3 does writing wise. I don't know. It's like, it's a really good way to get someone to really reflect on themselves and make an impact with a player if you get them to look at their own actions that they've taken and go, wow, that's really messed up. But you have to earn it, and it's hard to do, especially since, like, it's not going to work for everyone. So it's something you got to be careful about. Hey, that was clean. But yeah, I don't know. I really want to make I should make a video on Far Cry. I need to figure out some video editing software, and like, cause I'm obviously doing a lot of commentary on stuff, and I should really just kind of get all my thoughts out there in like a format. Because it's like, I just have a lot of feelings about Far Cry, and I think it's a good example of how, like, the idea... Excellent knife throw element. Yeah, it homed into the dude's forehead. But, I don't know. It's like, in Far Cry... Far Cry always like kind of I like the ideas that went into it. Far Cry 2. There's a channel called Face Full of Eyes, and it's a freaky name I know, but he has a excellent, absolutely excellent video on Far Cry 2 where he like breaks down how the game's mechanics and how the game's setting, mechanics, and characters all contribute to the general aesthetic like experience of the game, and how they like all contribute, and like how the way the game is built up kind of provides this whole commentary on like man, it's about man versus nature and like the futility of like resisting it in the face of like resisting nature in like the face of like the unceasing brutality of like of just kind of man unleashed, where it's like, oh, you're in an area where the grip of civilization isn't quite as strong as it normally is, because like you and I, we probably live in a country where it's very well established how the world works in terms of like by the laws that mankind has set up, where it's like, oh, you should get a job, you should make money, you should act like what we expect of a normal human being. You should go and do things properly the way people expect them to, because that's the system you live in. And then you go to some other place like maybe a sub-Saharan African country where things aren't quite as together as they are. People are a little crazier. There's a lot of violence inherent in like what's going on currently, and then as a result you realize, oh hey, as a result you go, oh hey, things aren't the way that I expected them to be. This isn't the world I expected. And then you realize that you have to become something else in order to survive in this new world. You have to like that's what I got from Far Cry 3. It's like some California fuckboy who goes around, doesn't give a shit about anything, and then just parties with his friends. Like finally like realizing that there's something else that lies below his skin that he never would have like treated in like normal civilization. And now that he's here on the island, he's just become like unleashed. Like he's not the person he was anymore. He's violent, he's crazy, he's just like all the other people here, despite like originally going like, oh man, this is crazy, they're killing people here, holy shit. And like I felt like that was really compelling. And then in Far Cry 4, that's not at all what they went for. And then in Far Cry 5, that's not at all what they went for. And then they just it became less about that and it became more about, oh, now now this game's all about revolutions against oppression and authority, right? Like that's what it is, and it's not at all. Not at all. It's just It feels like what was compelling about the previous games just kind of isn't there for like the later ones, and I feel like I can feel like as I play the game what the issue is, where they I can feel like in the game like the fact that they've changed developers and they've changed people working on it so many times that they instead of going, oh, this is what the game's about like thematically, they kind of just look at what the game is and going like, yeah, this is kind of all about capturing outposts and like skinning animals and like this is all about like they went into Far Cry 4 and they're like, yeah, so Far Cry 3 was mostly about capturing outposts, skinning animals, killing dudes, and having like a really cool villain, right? And then they did that for Far Cry 4, and then they de-emphasized the animal skinning part for Far Cry 5, and then just went, yeah, it's really about a really cool villain and capturing outposts and like really interesting missions, right? Like people really like that Skrillex dubstep flamethrower mission for Far Cry 3, right? And then you get to Far Cry 6, and they're like, okay, it's about a charismatic villain capturing outposts, and I guess like a rebellion. That's what it was in like Far Cry 4 and 5. So this game series has to be about like rebellions and revolutions, right? And then now we've just got something else. I knew as a matter of fact that we had strayed away from what Far Cry was originally about, in my opinion, when I found out that the main character for Far Cry 6 was a local. Like he's a guy who comes from the setting that you're in, and that's not what Far Cry is. The reason Far Cry is called Far Cry is because you're like a far cry from civilization. You're a far cry from things you'd expect. Because when people use the term Far Cry, it's literally saying, oh yeah, we're a far cry from anything familiar or anything that we would be aware of, or like anything that we would be able to like understand. And you're in like, you've been basically dumped out of like the world you were expecting into a world that's really crazy. That is not a far fucking cry. but it's like you go away from like what you're expecting, and then you go that it's different from what you're expecting. But when you live, that is a very close location. You have, as a matter of fact, not moved very far at all. This cry is not very far. And then like in I'm not saying that 6 was a bad game. 6 wasn't the game I wanted, and I didn't like it. That's what I'll say that. I don't think games are objectively bad as often as people try to make them out to be. But like Far Cry 6 definitely felt like it wasn't hitting any of the points that I wanted it to. And then but by the time I played Far Cry 5, I had kind of come to reason that like, yeah, it's not like actually about, these games aren't about what I wanted them to be anymore. Far Cry 2 wasn't, like, the story was really indirect, and it was really hard to figure out what was actually going on. And I'm not saying, and the game definitely has its issues, like, absolutely. It's got a lot of problems, but it kind of provided this experience that I don't think any other game has ever really done. Like, it was extremely immersive and extremely cerebral in a way that I just kind of didn't expect a game like that to be. Because they looked at it and they're like, yeah, you know what we're gonna do? Let's go a little nuts. Let's go a little crazy with it. Because Far Cry 1, oh my god. Why'd you vault the railing if it was gonna friggin' kill you, dude? Anyway, let's try that again. But in Far Cry in Far Cry 2, it had literary chops. It was based off of the Heart of Darkness. Like, it had like there was a theme to it. There was an idea that they wanted to push forward, and I think they did pretty well, surprisingly. Because like the idea is that like as you get closer and closer to it, you realize that brutality is the norm around here, and that you're gonna get slaughtered like a pig if you don't do something about just because like these people, the people in the area you're in are just like really just, they've been so surrounded and enamored with like this constant brutal violence for so long that it's never gonna fucking end. And then what the main antagonist, the Jackal, tries to impress upon you before the ending of the game is, oh hey, this isn't gonna stop. You're a mercenary. Everyone else here is a mercenary. Like, one thing the game tries to impress upon you is that a lot, like every ounce of violence the world has experienced is centralized on this one point. None of you and all of your mercenary buddies, none of you give a shit what's going on in this country or like what the cause they're fighting for is. Most of their troops are like South African mercenaries. A lot of the guns you use are like holdovers from like World War II onward. Like, every modern war has had a bunch of surplus arms that got funneled into this country. So you get this idea of, oh no, this isn't a place where you're not fighting for a cause here. No one is. Everyone here is fighting for the sake of fighting. There's like a base thing that they're all contributing to. This sense of like all of human civilization is contributing to this violence that's occurring here, and that's very central. This isn't the cleanest point I've ever made, but it's actually decently pointed. Yeah, because it's like a whole thing, and I thought that was like, I wouldn't have gotten it as much as I would have otherwise if I like hadn't watched that one video I referenced from like Face Full of Eyes. But like, you can get a sense of it if you're paying attention when you're playing the game, and you don't get that kind of depth from the other games, and it sucks. It sucks. Far Cry 4 through 6 just kind of don't give you the same idea. Or at least if there is an idea there, I completely fucking missed it. I know, I eat that shit up whenever there's a game with that has like thematic chops to it that like have follow through. God, I love it. What? Did Did you see that? I have death from above, right? That works on heavies, right? What? I don't understand. I bounced off of his head. Good thing Jason's basically bulletproof. Can you, like, stop moving? Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, you saw it work last time. I don't know what the hell happened there. I, like, fucking, like... I was basically Goomba stomping... Okay. I thought I was floating in the air. Holy shit. This game's falling apart. Okay, that fight, that death doesn't fucking count. I am so upset that that happened. Oh god. There, let's get on the floor. Let's play the game by its own rules so that I don't get screwed over this time. One idea I had was that I wanted to become a creative director and like see if I could just make my own game. I don't think it's like totally out of the question in the future, but like I feel like I need to like learn programming before I'm able to do that. I have a lot of feelings about games. I should do something with it. I like the way the heavy beatdown works in this game is that, oh, does Jason do anything particularly special to kill the heavy guys? No, he just stabs them harder, you know? He just really just gets in there. Just stabs right through the body plate, that's how it works. It's really funny whenever a shooter comes out that actually has some, like, a little something to it. Like, it actually says something and people are like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Like, I remember when Spec Ops The Line came out and everyone thought it was just this super generic, like, first-person shooter. Not first-person, third-person shooter. Like, and I think they deliberately marketed that way so that you would look at it and go, yeah, this is just a normal, big dick, like, gray military shooter game, like just like all the other ones, just like Call of Duty, just like Battlefield, just like... Where the fuck? What just what is happening? Did I catch an updraft? What is this? Oh my god. Okay, I'm not controlling like where I'm going at all. The game's just piloting me. Okay, I guess this structure here just emanates power that just force fields me away from it or something. I'm not gonna think about that. I was not pressing any arrow keys. The game just swung me to the right. I have no idea what was happening. God, is that you? Did you pluck me from the skies? Are you dropping me where I need to be? Um... I'm telling you, Jason's totally reusing these syringes. He's gonna have some gnarly infections at some point in his life, I think. Aren't cell phone towers like super hazardous to touch or something? Like they've got like a ton of like radiation or electricity going through them? I don't know. I remember when Far Cry had this. I think on the website they had a. Oh, this is where I'm supposed to go. Okay, they had a poll go up where they're like, hey, we wanted to take Far Cry like outside of its typical setting because normally it's very modern with it's very modern, takes place in some like not very it takes place somewhere that isn't very stable as you'd expect, and generally has a where the fuck am I supposed to go? And generally emphasizes a sort of hang on. What the fuck am I supposed to do here? To get up there, which means I need to get over there, so I guess I hop up here and then is that the drop down here? Okay, sure. Anyway, they had a poll, and I think they had a bunch of different settings on there. People ended up voting for like people ended up voting for prehistoric times, like they wanted to play as cavemen, and then that led to Far Cry Primal, and then people didn't like Far Cry Primal, which I found very funny and also kind of disappointing because one of the I'm pretty sure one of the settings that they had, I think they had post-apocalyptic, and I think they also had Western on there, and I thought Western would have been kind of neat. Because, like, that makes sense. It's, like, you can play as someone who, like, went from out east to, like, the west, and then ended up getting caught up in some crazy bullshit, like a hillbilly clan tried to sacrifice him to a dark god or something like that. That could have been neat. And then, that, like, I feel like there's a lot of, like, parallels you could draw to, like, make it work. But, people ended up going, like, prehistoric, and then prehistoric was a little goofy. Because, like, normally Far Cry has a lot of guns, right? Western would be good, yeah. I don't think they're gonna do that though, cause or maybe they might not for a while. Westerns are weird video game wise, cause it feels like there's only like, it feels like there's exactly two like big Western series, and one of them's kind of dead right now. You've got Call of Juarez, you've got Red Dead Redemption. That's it. That's it. Those are the only two like big IPs, and then you've got a bunch of indies that's it. That's all of it. Crytek made a Hunt Showdown, but that seems like a one-off thing.
Holy crap! What the?
Kaboo. Yeah. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see something new. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Red Dead's one of the few times where you get like a Western game that kind of breaks the mold. Because I feel like, this is partly because Westerns mostly came out of a very, what was it? People kind of know exactly what to expect from a Western, like, and that's because it's been aggressively sort of codified. Like, people have been making Westerns for goddamn ever, and as a result, there's like a bunch of like tropes and stereotypes that you always see. And I feel like Red Dead actually, it like partially, it uses a lot of them obviously, but it also does its own thing with it. I feel because of just how big the game is. And how, like, I think once they made Red Dead Redemption 2, they got a little bit more comfortable with it. Like, they did something new. It's the Dying West. It's like the end of an era. So like that has its own appeal, and I like that a lot. Whereas a lot of the times when people make westerns, otherwise it's kind of the same thing. It's always like it's like forgive me if this sounds a little generic, but like you and your family live on a ranch. You are a young man, kind of quiet, not really sure, you know, just kind of making his way in the world, and then some bandits come in and then burn your ranch down to the ground, and then they were paid for by a rich man who wanted the land for oil, and then as such you have gone on an epic revenge story to go and kill all the bandits and then the rich guy at the end. And then you retire to live alone on the ranch, and then like retire to a life of oh man, finally I see you again. It's been a long time. How are you? I'm doing good. I moved, and I'm currently I moved, but and like was really intermittent on here for a while, but I'm back on it. But yeah, I'm just complaining about video games. That's what we're doing today. Just went off on a really long tirade. Westerns are a bit of a dead genre for the last many years anyway. It's tough to make something fresh. It is. I feel like weird wests are kind of like a nice weird westerns are kind of like a nice new thing for the genre. Like the fact that people are mixing it with like sort of like more of a fantasy thriller feel to it. But it's nice to see him again. I like westerns a lot, even the really generic ones, and I'm kind of glad that it's having sort of like a resurgence partially. Although I feel like one thing I see a lot more than actual full-on Western games is like characters with Western motifs. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you see that a lot where there's a story that has a bunch of characters and one of them is just a cowboy for some reason. Like I think Overwatch is a good example. Like they've got McCree. McCree's just there. I don't know why. Like I'm not sure how despite the kind of utopian look that a lot of the societies in Overwatch have come around to, the middle of America just kind of regressed into a lawless wasteland, but whatever. It's interesting. I think McCree's fun, so I'm glad for that. I just finished Far Cry 6 a couple weeks ago. Didn't really like it. Yeah, me neither. I didn't quite finish the game. I got like a month of Uplay Plus to give it a shot because I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, and it turns out that was a good call. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of. I don't think I explained this to Kurt here yet, but Far Cry 6 changed the weapon system to make it so that enemies had particular types of armor. Like they're either heavily armored or they're lightly armored, right? And the guns that you equip in that game have different. The guns you equip in that game have different. You force yourself to finish it. Oh, that sucks. The way it works is that basically you can equip your gun with different bullets. You get soft target rounds for lightly armored enemies. You have armor piercing rounds for heavily armored enemies. You have fire rounds for poison enemies, poison rounds for fire enemies, and explosive rounds for vehicles. And it felt like a really half-assed system, if you ask me, because like while they were clearly like, yeah, you should have a gun for every situation because a guerrilla is always ready, but it's like that's not how it works. Like there's a little bit of sense there where you go, oh, if you have armor piercing, like yeah, it was all bullshit. You go for the headshot anyways, right? Yeah, you just shoot him in the head. You just use the normal bullets and shoot him in the head, and that usually works. But like trying to actually work with that system like totally sucked. And then it didn't make any sense because it's like in real life, if you have a hard tipped a solid armor piercing bullet, it's not going to do as much damage to a lightly armored target because the bullet's not going to use as much of it's going to punch through a person, which doesn't do as much damage as if it hits the guy and then breaks and splits up. On the other hand, you have blunt tipped or like hollow point rounds. When those hit a person, it breaks up, does a lot of damage to the internal organs, yada yada. Very dangerous, very deadly. There's a reason they don't allow soldiers to use them. In and in video games, like, sometimes they try to play into it, but making it so that, yeah, oh yeah, this gun has a higher chance to do more damage, but it doesn't pierce as well. This gun ignores some armor, but it doesn't do as much damage. That's how Fallout New Vegas did it. God, that's like the modding system in Warframe, which I think is a little more justified, but the way you manage damage types is so massively emphasized. Yeah, the thing is that, like, most people just mod for big damage. Here's the thing. In Warframe, don't you generally, like you said, people just mod for big damage because they don't want to worry about the system because it's like a hassle. There's also the fact that, like, if you play, what am I trying to say here? It's like, if you're in the middle of a shooter like Far Cry, you don't have time to juggle your guns and then go, oh, this guy's armored, he's like, because like they're all mixed in, like all the characters, it's a mix between heavily armored and lightly armored enemies. It's not as obvious as it is in the other games where like the heavily armored enemies are like a bunch of like fucking bulldozers from Payday just lumbering around covered head to toe in Kevlar, and the lightly armored enemies are just a bunch of like fucking like lightly armored boys that are sprinting around all over the place. Instead, it's like, instead it's like the lightly armored shotgun guys are heavily armored, the generic enemies are lightly armored, and then some of the other, like, some of the officers are heavily armored too, so it doesn't make a lot of sense right away. And then you have to, and then like also that just restricts the guns you're allowed to take, because you're like, oh, this is my heavy ammo gun, I gotta use this for this guy, and then I gotta switch to my other gun to use this for the light armored guy. And then when you start the game, you don't have a lot of ammo, so sometimes you'll run out of bullets for one type of gun, and then you won't have any bullets for the other type of gun. And then when you're fighting, and then when you shoot armor-piercing rounds at a lightly armored enemy, it does barely any damage. It is so, yeah, it's boring too. Yeah, it's not an interesting system. It doesn't add good gameplay. It just it's just a hassle. It was not great. I didn't like it very much. It's like, because it felt like they were looking at other games in order to try to get inspiration. And Far Cry 3 and 4 was the best. Yeah. I think Far Cry 3 was like the peak of the series. 4 just felt like it was 3 again for the most part, but that wasn't terrible. I did like that 2 was interesting, but still like 3 and 4 more. Oh, okay. I like 2 a lot, but I like it for reasons that don't have anything to do with the gameplay. I like it thematically. I just kind of went through a whole thing talking about it, but I like 2 for the gameplay. I think 3 had a really good mix between good, interesting gameplay and like a story that felt like it had some teeth to it, like it had something going on there, like the character actually has like a story arc. 4 I wasn't too into. You can ride elephants though, and that's pretty rad. Ugh. Yeah, 5, I already said this earlier in the stream, but 5, I liked 5's gameplay quite a bit, but I thought the fact that the story kept kidnapping you was so annoying. And I also just didn't like any of the villains, or the story, or the ending. 2 is very advanced. If they continued that, we could have had, yeah. I think the issue with Far Cry is that, I think Ubisoft's run like a really typical, I don't want to make assumptions on how Ubisoft's run actually, but I feel like, from what I understand, it's actually pretty similar to like a very... What happens with a lot of video game companies now, especially at the upper end, is that they'll, when they want to pump a game out and they don't really care too much, they'll often have a release date that's really soon. They'll go like, oh yeah, we absolutely want this game to come out during the holiday. And then that'll mean like, okay, we have to release it in like November. So November will come along, and one thing that's really common in tech, I think nowadays, especially when you're dealing with like industries where you deal with a lot of programming, is that things don't go as planned, and like this system is being added very well, or like the creative director just had a new idea, and implementing that programming wise is going to be such a massive headache that it's going to add like months. Yeah, and they all turn into FIFA. It's gonna take like months to like implement it, and then you go, all right, so what about? And then they go, okay, so they're based off of how things are going with all like this game-breaking bug that took forever to take care of. Now it's going to take another extra couple months to make this game come out. But they already said that the game was going to come out in November. So now they've got a problem where they have to make up those 2 months by just having everyone work more. And then that's what crunch is, if you've heard the term before. And the problem with crunch is that you kind of grind people down into dust when you crunch them. You go and then they crunch and they crunch and they crunch, and then they get ground into dust, and then they quit, and then you have to replace them with new people. And I think because of that, there's like a high turnover rate with a lot of these games, which is why sometimes you'll play like a triple A game, and then when you play the next one, it just feels completely 100% different, because it's like a whole, it's just a whole different team of people made it. That's the problem with BioWare, and that's also the problem with, I'm starting to feel like it's kind of a problem with Hard West 2. Hard West 2 was pretty honest about the fact that it's made by an entirely different developer, but like, it definitely is not the game I was expecting or hoping it to be. Because in Hard West 1, it was like, I wrote a whole Steam review about it, and I made I think I'll write my thoughts out a little bit better sometime in the future, but like, that game's gameplay and story are just so different from Hard West 1. The focus is mostly on money, it just hurts to watching these great, it's just it's a problem. I don't know if it's gonna get solved, but it's a problem. It's also a reason why games are so buggy these days. I don't know, I talk constantly about how great Red Dead Redemption 2 is, but that game also had some crunch. I think the creative directors mentioned that this was more them talking about themselves rather than what the developers were going through, but they did work like 100-hour weeks on a couple instances, I think is one thing they mentioned, which just sounds straight up inhumane. You guys are blind. Like, even the bow is just not fun anymore. Yeah. See, that's how that works. Death from above works there. Did I miss somewhere? I think it's like a corporate issue. I feel like game developers have become very risk averse, and that's a problem. Don't get it why all these extra things disappeared later. Yeah, I think it's like I think the idea of what they thought Far Cry was all about just kind of got really simplified, and then they kind of stopped working. Well, like one thing Ubisoft does a lot. Should I complain about Ubisoft on stream? I don't know. Maybe I'll write like a no. I wonder what's the smartest way to go about this is. Whatever. It's not like that. There's that many people here. So basically, the thing about Ubisoft is that they cut a lot of corners in their games. You see them. So it's okay to reuse assets and things like that, especially if it like saves like time and money. But the deal is with Ubisoft is that it definitely feels like they absolutely do not like assign work if they feel like they can get away with doing something else. And that's one thing that like I noticed when I was playing Far Cry 5. I can probably I'm gonna go to like a weapon shop and I'm gonna explain something to you guys. So in Far Cry 5, okay, so when you look at the weapons in Far Cry 3, there's a like a wide variety of them, right? So we've got a 1911, that's an American gun. Then we've got a 6P9, which I think is Russian, is my guess. I'm not entirely sure. 44 Magnum, D50, those are American standbys. Like, they've got a Scorpion, which is Russian. We've got the MP5, which is German. We've got the BZ-19, Russian. Vector's kind of exotic. That's from an American company thing. I think the A2000 is weird. The M133 Grach is this is Russian. This is an old American shotgun. I don't know what the fuck this thing's doing here. Spaz 12 is South American, I think. I think it's Brazilian. Franchi, I think is a Brazilian. Yeah, Franchi. F1 French. This looks like I think everyone in their mod, like the AK-47's everywhere, obviously. But basically, there's weapons from all over the world. I don't even know where the Z93 comes from, but like you've got like a universal arsenal, and so yeah, this machine gun's from Singapore. That's why you don't see it in any other games. So the idea is that there's a really wide variety of firearms, and some of them are from weird spots because Far Cry 3 takes place on an island in the Pacific. So basically a lot of weapon shipments that got raided and like gun runners that like did like that like basically kind of just dropped a bunch of weapons off somewhere where they could do it securely without getting like chased down by the police ended up here. That's why it's such a hodgepodge of like different weapons. And Far Cry 5 takes place in Montana. So it's in the middle of the United States. The guns you'd have available in Montana is very different from the guns you'd have available from the black market in the middle of the Pacific, or the guns you'd have available in the black market in like I think Tibetan, Nepalese, I'm not really sure where Far Cry 4 is, like a mountain country. So in Montana, why is the first shotgun you get your hands on still the M133? It's because they didn't want to remodel it. So Ubisoft cuts a lot of corners, and I do feel like, and I feel like a lot of the times they tend to simplify like their design of things as much as possible. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen it, but the shop interface in Far Cry 5 is the same generic like shop UI they use for literally all of their games afterwards. And it's the like they don't change it up. They don't really do anything fancy with the UI. It's not very fancy. They just kind of reuse things. And I feel like that's part of why Far Cry just kind of became really syndicated. Like it became extremely codified, and then things stopped changing. Like it in as you got to Far Cry 4, you notice that, oh, this is like the same game as Far Cry 3, and that's when I got a little nervous, because I was like, they aren't gonna Call of Duty this franchise just because like it got kind of big for one entry, are they? Because I thought Far Cry 2 was something really special. I thought Far Cry 3 was also really good, but in a totally different way. And I was kind of curious what would happen with Far Cry 4, and then Far Cry 4 came out, and all I heard about it was, oh, it's just Far Cry 3, like again. Like the gameplay, almost all of the animations and guns in Far Cry 4 are completely carried over from Far Cry 3. A lot of the mechanics completely carried over. Like what did it add that was new? It added some new animals. It added elephant riding, which, as I said before, totally rad. Definitely not complaining about that. But then they added a couple new guns, a lot of which were from like World War II, which I was really surprised by. Like I think they have an MP40 and a Sten and like a Mauser. I love that it was a copy of 3, but when I saw that Primal was the exact same map as 4, I was getting skeptical. Yeah, definitely. I don't know, it's really weird. Am I about to die? No, I'm fine. I don't know, Far Cry's... It's a weird-ass series. It's kind of hard to say, like, because Far Cry 2 was also, like, it's starting to feel like when you look at the series, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were, like, the main Far Cries, or, like, the Far Cries that, like, that's what the series has become about. After 3, everything could be a DLC, but you pay full price for it. How's that legal? Well, of course it's legal, it's just not... It's, whether something's worth doing is determined by whether people pay for it, and people paid for it. That's just how it is. Just like with microtransactions. That's why Valorant gets away with charging like what, $40 to $60 for like a bundle of skins, of weapon skins, because like, you know, they justify it to themselves because it's like a lot. It does look like it takes an insane amount of work to put those things together because they have new animations for all of them, but also it's because people pay for it, and they knew people were going to pay for it because they looked at CSGO, and they went, I just saw a man pay $200 for a knife skin. I think we can get away with a lot here, because we're basically making CSGO, right? And I think that's what informed their pricing decision. Because, like, these are companies, and the way companies work is that they look at things that already work, and they try to base their decisions off of that. Because it's all about risk. And the way you mitigate risk is by copying other people. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of lame. I think it's I really cherish it when a game comes out and it's something really unique. Like that's why I mentioned this already, but that's why I like Disco Elysium quite a bit, because it's like you play a game and you're like, this is the most unique experience I've had in a long time, and I really deeply appreciate it. And that's why I'm so happy that that's why I'm really happy that the indie game scene actually popped off, and like it's kind of normal for. I know people complain about all the trash that gets flooded into Steam, but occasionally you pick something up and it's something really special, and you're like, wow, it's kind of amazing that you can just kind of in your garage put a game together, and if it's special, you can find an audience for it. Body armor. Yeah, but Far Cry 6 really made me sad. Hundreds of guns, and it gets boring after 1 to 2 hours. Yeah. Far Cry... I don't know what it is about Far Cry 6. It's like, they have a really... I thought Anton Castillo was actually pretty cool, or at least I think... Okay, correction. I think Giancarlo Esposito was really cool. Anton Castillo, I'm not so sure about. I don't think I got far enough to really feel it, but like, I don't know, that game just felt so weird and restrictive. Like, it simultaneously felt like it was just as Far Cry as everything else, but it was also less because they kept adding things that really kind of fucked with it. I really just want to actually play something that I haven't played before. Yeah, like, that makes sense, doesn't it? Like, we want something new, we want something fun, and if something isn't fun if you've done it a million times, but it feels like nearly every game, it's like the whole basis of it is that you do it a million times. It just kind of sucks. Like, I'm happy, like, the first time I played Call of Duty in, like, it had to have been, like, 6 years, was when Modern Warfare 2019 came out, because they're like, we've got a new engine, and then people kept talking about how, like, the campaign was actually doing something kind of new and different, and then I played it, and I was like, wow, this actually feels new and different. And also the fact that I wasn't playing Call of Duty all the time anymore just kind of made it so that it actually felt, like, kind of fresh, because I hadn't done it in a while. And then, right, but I don't see that. I'm always searching up for the next game, but I don't know. So yeah, it's like, it's kind of hard to tell what's going to be the big thing, and it got especially bad recently because development is like a lot of games that would have been developed on a normal like development cycle got slowed down, stopped, or completely canceled because of COVID. And as a result, it kind of I feel like we've really stagnated, especially in the shooter department. So like a good example would be that, like, what are the PvP first-person shooter games people play right now? I mention this, like, nearly every stream, I think, so I'm a bit of a broken record. But, like, what does everyone play? We play Valorant, people play Valorant, people play Apex. People used to play Siege, but I think Siege is falling off a bit. Like, what else? Like, I play Hunt, but Hunt's a little niche. Like, it's still a little niche. Escape from Tarkov, still kind of niche. Like, people still play that game, of course, and, like, when the people that play that game really, really fucking play it. But, like, outside of that, I don't think anything's that big right now. CSGO? Yeah. CSGO's been around forever, though. Like, is there a game that came out in the past, like, 3 years? The point I'm trying to make is that, like, we haven't had, like, a big new thing in that area. Like, we're still, like, Apex is still kind of, like, riding the high from the fucking Battle Royale boom. You remember when, what was it? A bunch of Battle Royale games came out, and, like, no. Fortnite got really big and started making, like, historic amounts of money, and then everyone started making Battle Royales. Battlefield made a Battle Royale, Call of Duty was starting to make a Battle Royale, there was some Battle Royale called Mavericks that was, like, I think it was supposed to be, like, 200 people to a map. There was, like, everyone was making a Battle Royale. Fucking Battle.right, for some fucking reason, made a Battle Royale. Paladins made a Battle Royale. Like, it was like, everyone was just making their own Battle Royale mode and, like, trying to hop onto it. And most of them just fucking died. Because, like everyone was like, well, I'm just gonna play Fortnite. Fortnite's free. How do you beat free? and then Apex came out. CSGO even implemented their Battle Royale. Yeah, it was kind of weird, though. It was, like, a lot smaller, though, wasn't it? They actually did something different with it, which I respect. Although I didn't hear much about it after that. I don't know. Yeah, the big time not understanding what's going on. But I think that illustrates the point that we had earlier of like, you know, people invest in things, but they want to invest in things without risk. So they want something to be proven before they try to put money into it, and then by the time they put money into it, everyone's already had that experience before, so it doesn't like get them anywhere. Like, what was it? You've got let's see if I can do something fancy. Clean. All right. But the thing with battle royales is just that they like it was like a whole wave, and then things have settled now where like I feel like if you try to make a new battle royale now, you'd have to do something really special with it. I think Blood Hunt like did a good job of like popping out, making itself a little different because it's got the whole vampire thing going on. Oh, god damn it. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like I haven't had a good new shooter in a while, and all the ones that are coming out just aren't that great. Like I wasn't too enthused about Cold War or Vanguard. I like played Modern Warfare 2019, and I was like, did you play Blood Dragon? Dude, Blood Dragon was radical. No, Blood Dragon was good. I was feeling that. I liked it for entirely different reasons than the other Far Cry games, but I really love that it's just like a sort of like, you know, I really respect it when like when developers have a clear idea of like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then some guys in the Far Cry like studio were just like, you want to know something? I want to make something fucking rad. I have fucked up the tower climbing. I hate this. It's definitely a trend across the board of creative culture, from video game development, show and movie production, music, all of it. That risk is seen as a liability instead of a possibility. That's why there's probably always going to be like a scene for like indie stuff, just because it's like the big companies are never going to be able to like make it as if they keep doing it. I feel like if you miss the right timing or streamers don't pick up a game, you just lost. Like Hunt Showdown, such a great game, extreme potential, but it Steam's fault. Yeah, I think Hunt Showdown's sticking with it though. They actually had their biggest peak ever with their last event. So it's slow but steady growth. I'm starting to see people complain a bit about it though, because they're starting to get a little bit more. They're starting to reach a bit harder with the microtransactions, and I don't know how much the development for that game costs. It's probably quite a bit, so I'm not sure how the projections are working, but I was under the impression that the game had enough money to keep going the way it was. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. Drop down? No. Who the fuck built this thing? Why is there just random, like, metal sheets here and there? I don't get it. Like... Oh, nope, that's not it. So fucking strange. That was like one of the games in the last few years when I was like, damn, that's new. Yeah! That shit's new! I loved that. That was my favorite part. Just playing the game and then you hit someone with like a headshot with like a Mosin and you're like, damn, that shit's good! I need to get around to there, I guess? Suck. Okay. These towers get really confusing at this part of the game, but I think we made it. Oh, Jesus, I hate platforming so much. Yeah. No, I kind of wish Hunt Showdown made it big, just so that people could be like, oh yeah, this is a cool thing. I think that's another reason why people like Escape from Tarkov so much, because it just provides a new experience. Like, I love that. But yeah. I think streamers are another thing that kind of contributes to the fact that it feels like you just see the same games over and over again, because a game can live forever if people keep streaming it. And also, like, it kind of makes it so that people, when a lot, I feel like developers are looking more now towards like how streamable a game is in order to figure out if they can like market it well, because like League obviously I think like proved to a lot of people what works. Just got into GTA RP, never tried it, and it's really fun, great communities. I'm glad to hear that. I'm not personally into it at all, but I'm glad to hear that that's a thing. I always found it really weird. That's one thing I found really strange about GTA Online, where like they kind of had like they had a lot of roleplay stuff kind of worked into it. Like you could buy your own apartment and like you could customize it. You could wear your own clothes, and there's a lot of clothes to wear. And then like the way you designed your character is like you pick their parents, which was really strange. But I always found that really interesting. And then like I actually played GTA Online and found out what it actually was, and I wasn't too big on it. But it's neat that there's like roleplay servers and like communities there. That's cool. That's kind of weird. That's actually kind of funny. It's like, oh, I want to get into roleplay. Like, what should I do? Should I join a Minecraft roleplay server? Should I join a Roblox roleplay server? Should I join a Grand Theft Auto roleplay server? Yeah, and you join a server and get constantly killed by the flying bike. Bro! Dude, that bike. Holy shit. Dude, I logged into... I had a couple friends of mine... They're not friends of mine anymore, but a couple of old friends of mine basically like got into GTA Online. They're like, oh yeah, we're having a lot of fun. We're just doing heists and stuff. And I was like, well, you know, I always wanted to do heists with a group of people, but I never had anyone to play with, so this is my chance to try it out. And then when they got really into it, I was like, all right, I'll hop on and join you guys. I log into GTA, I load up the game, and then I load up the game, and then immediately, first thing that happens, a guy reads my IP address and calls out the city I live in, and then I get killed by some kid in a flying bike who like teabags my corpse, and then I spawn right next to him, and then he pulls out a rocket launcher, and I'm like, fuck this, and then I quit the game. It was such an experience. Do not play that game on PC. Bro, I had the people put my PC back then, but it was too bad, but I would always be kicked out of the heist. Ooh. Yeah, that's definitely rough. Dude, the PC thing's kind of nuts, because games keep getting more demanding, and then new parts keep coming out, but it's like really fast and really expensive. Wow. A bad miss on my part.
Why'd you ever make that bet, idiot?
Literally have jets, guns, cars, all kinds of stuff, and never finished heist. I mean, there's a lot to do.
Holy shit!
Okay, you see how slow that guy's reaction timing was? Stared at his friend's corpse for like a full 2 seconds and then went, oh hey, he's dead. Just imagining a situation where someone owns like an entire airport, and then like and then they haven't done any of the missions, so like they go up to like Lamar and he's like, hey bro, I don't know if I trust you yet, I'm gonna need you to help me to do this drug dealer before I know you're like the real deal. And like you drove in like an armored sedan. Like you, alright, I'm gonna eat something, have fun guys. Yeah, thanks for coming by, man. Not a reaction time, that's a reaction check to see if he still has a pulse, because what the heck.
This outpost belongs to the Rakyat, and we'll keep it that way.
This game's, I don't know. Games are wacky. Games are also kind of stupid, I'm not gonna lie. Like, video games, kind of dumb. Oh, it's great being here. I'm glad. Cheetah. Oh, that's a leopard. Bro, I don't know my cats. Ooh, okay. exactly. Wait, how do I get there by car? Okay. I like how I just kind of hijacked the truck that the Rakiat used to come in. I'm just like, all right, video games kind of goofy, not gonna lie. A little bit clownish of you to play video games. I don't know, I think it's kind of funny that like video games used to be like that. It used to be like, you're telling me this man is a liquid snake? What the fuck? You see that? What's happening down there? Hang on, I need it. Sorry, one sec. Hang on, let me take a look. What is this? Bro, this island, mystical. What is going on? Dude, spontaneous combustion is real. Holy shit. Was anyone driving this thing? I don't see any corpses. It just exploded on its own. Wow. Just gave up. I didn't know cars could do that. This island is haunted. Oh, I knew that one. Okay, great news. I was getting sent someone I used to live with was sending me a package with my stuff. They were like, okay, here's the tracking number for the package just so that we know what's going on with it, right? So I'm in a weird situation address-wise. I tried to get an Amazon package sent here, and then FedEx went, oh yeah, so we've got a little issue. I think Amazon contracted with FedEx or something to get it sent. And they're like, yeah, we had a little bit of an issue getting this thing over to you. It was just an issue with the address. We'll just reprint. We just needed to reprint the label and then get it slapped back on there. So this thing's gonna get to you, but it's gonna get to you a little late. And I kind of wanted this to get over because it's like a little. I have a desk here where I'm at, but it's too short, so I wanted to get like a little side table at about the same height to see if I could get a little like more just to see if I could get like to get it to like level out and like get a wider desk out of that. Because I need a lot of space desk-wise for my setup because I have 2 monitors, and I also want to have a little space for my laptop when I try to do the dual PC stream setup. But as of right now, I have just barely enough space for 2 monitors, and I kind of have to crook my head to the side to kind of to look at one of them, to look at the main one. But anyway, that's besides the point. I was trying to get this little side table sent to me, and then they went, oh yeah, so we got the wrong address originally, and I was like, that's weird. I typed the address in myself. And then they said, oh yeah, we reprinted the shipping label, we'll get it out to you soon. And then I looked, and then they sent it out to me, and then for the next 3 days, I get calls from multiple different drivers going, hey man, where do you live? I've got a package here for like 123 Alphabet Lane, and I'm like, no, I live on 123 Alphabet Drive. It's Alphabet Drive, and they're like, that's really weird, dude. It doesn't say that on here, and I'm like, I don't know what I typed Alphabet Drive on your fucking address thing. I don't know what the deal is. And then they're like, okay, well, I got it here for Alphabet Lane. I'm gonna see if I could still like send it. And then I get a notification that my delivery was canceled, and I was gonna get a refund. I was like, okay. So someone else was trying to send me a package using the same address, and this was like they sent the package before I submitted the before like I found out that there was a problem with this place. They tried to get it sent. It's currently sitting at a postal service carrier facility, and they're like, yeah, we found the problem. We're gonna send it again, and I hope to God it gets to me because there's some stuff in it that I really hope gets to me. Right in the dick, goddamn. No, no alarm for you. Get out of here. Can I? Yeah, I can. Ooh, there you go. But yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion I'm not going to get that package, and that's going to be really sad, because this person means really well. 31 out of 34. Yeah, I wasn't planning on clearing out the whole island today, but I'm just not in the mood to do main missions as it turns out, and I just want to stab a bunch of people, so this is what we're doing today. We're stabbing men and complaining about video games. This is what I knew I was eventually going to end up doing when I started streaming. I knew this is what the whole thing was going to turn out to be. I was just denying it to myself when I was trying to be funny instead. This is the peak of gaming anyway. This is what all gamers are doomed to become. It's like you kind of have phases, I think. Like you start off and you play games and you're like, "Man, video games are amazing. These are all so cool." And then you kind of settle in. You usually end up playing some PvP game like League of Legends or Siege or CS:GO, and then you kind of play games and you're like, "Wow, games are really cool. I'm getting pretty good at them. I like beating people at games and stuff." And then eventually you realize that the whole then you kind of get a little disillusioned with it at some point. You have this moment where you're like, "Yeah, I don't know. This isn't really I don't have a lot of time anymore. I'm getting a little older. I kind of don't want to spend all of my time just getting mad at League of Legends and like getting sad even when I win, because it's like I could have won better, or I feel like I didn't play good enough." And then you start playing single player games or things like that, and you're like, "Wait, people don't make games like this anymore. What's the deal?" And then you end up like me. You're playing old games that came out like 5+ years ago, and then you just complain about the new shit. I'm an old man before my time. Gonna wither to dust I'm gonna be in the middle playing Fallout New Vegas, and I'm just gonna wither to dust as I speak. Complete my final evolution and just stop playing video games altogether. Just tell kids about the games I used to play. I don't even know why I bother with a bow when like half the time I can just like juice myself up, and then kids are ruining the gamer industry. Millennials are killing video games. Oh, mistake. Yeah, I'm kind of losing my grip on my ability to play this game, I think. The tigers aren't as threatening as they used to be. These guys are a little bit too well, like, attended to. I can't expect one animal to just wipe out the entire camp anymore, because they actually shoot well. Okay, yeah. You know something kind of annoying? You can't deploy a parachute in this game unless you've got the wingsuit open. That doesn't make sense. They fixed that in the later games, but it's not a thing in this one. I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting that I have I keep thinking I have a get out of jail free card when I hop off a ledge. What the hell is the arc on this thing? What the fuck? Is this going right through this man? I don't understand. Okay, this tiger's having a good run this time. It found a good route. It just got a lot of people this time. Alright, there we go. Man, I'm not doing a good job right now. Doing a very bad job, actually. Okay, another problem with the corpse dragging mechanic in this game. Sometimes I'll like stab a guy for a takedown, and then I'll hold down a movement key, right? And like the reason I'm doing that is because I'm like, oh, I'm getting shot right now. I should leave once I'm done with the animation stabbing this guy. But the way the game works is because of, what the fuck? because of the way the mechanic works, that means you immediately start dragging a corpse instead of just running like away from the battlefield. So I ended up dragging that guy's body while frantically slapping like the Q button to heal. I'm having a bad time. This isn't going well. Speaking of the whole kids thing, I actually had a talk with my dad recently, and like, I'm not sure if you guys have ever had this happen with your grandparents, but have you ever had a time where you like you have an older person you're talking to, and then they just randomly just mention something that they don't understand or something that confuses them, but like to you is just a really basic thing, and you're not entirely certain why they reacted that way, or like they're getting weird about it. Like, my dad just kind of randomly, like, I was talking with my dad, and he just kind of randomly said, oh, hey, I don't get tank tops. And I was like, what? He's like, some guys just walk around just in tank tops. Like, I don't get it. Like, it feels like they just have, like, I don't know what the hell he was trying to talk about. I don't know if he was trying to talk about the attitude they had while wearing tank tops, or if he was talking about the tank tops themselves. And then, like, I was trying to find a way to, like, sort of commiserate him with him on, like, the point he was trying to make, and, like, I said, you know, I feel like it's just a thing, like, I feel like the conversation kind of, like, kept going, and I kept trying to understand what the hell he was trying to say to me, and then he went, and then he was just like, I guess I just, like, don't understand it, like, I wasn't used to people, like, wearing that, like, around where I grew up, and then I was like, you know, I'm probably gonna end up being something like, you know, people are gonna be wearing, like, tank tops and shorts and stuff when I'm older. Like we're all gonna be wearing, like, tank tops and shorts and, like, t-shirts and, like, graphical tees and, like, all the normal stuff people wear now. I bet you in like 40 years you're gonna see dudes with gray hair that have like this sort of like side, like they like buzz their hair on the side, and then like on the top they've got like, that's where all their hair is, except maybe they've got like a bald spot or two up there. And then like we're all gonna be wearing what we're wearing right now, and then the kids of the future are just gonna be wearing like neon jumpsuits or something like that, or they're gonna be wearing like tech wear, or they're gonna be wearing some other crazy shit, and I'm gonna look at that and I'm gonna be talking to a young person and I'm gonna be going, man, I don't understand why fashion went this way. I don't get it. I feel like that's inevitable. 75-year-olds with the fades. It's gonna happen, I bet. I fucking bet. Like, you know how you see, like, like, if you saw, what was it? They can't really do, like, a pompadour now, because I feel like they don't have the hair for it, but, like, you see women with perms, or, like, with that super, like, curly, poofy hair, and, like, I don't know how to describe it better, but, like, you see women with 70s hair, and that's, like, firmly in your brain an old person thing, because you've only seen old people wear it, and then you see pictures from, like, from the same time period where everyone, like, all the young people were wearing that. 100% gonna happen. Oh, yeah. 100% gonna happen. And it's gonna be wild when it does. I love that clip from The Simpsons where Grandpa Simpson is going like, what was it? I used to be with it, and then they changed what it was. Now I'm not. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what is it is strange and scary to me. It'll happen to you too. And like Bart, and he's talking to Bart, and Bart just starts screaming, and I remember seeing that and just being like, whatever, we'll do a mission, I guess. I remember seeing that and being like, God damn it, it's too true. It's real. Words to live by. I guess that's one thing I've learned recently. It's that you're gonna be lame anyway at some point. Like, things are gonna change, and then what people are doing now just seems stupid, and then what people used to do then made more sense. So just kind of embrace it for right now. Figure out what you're on about, and then just go with it. Like, this might not surprise too many of you, but I'm a very old-fashioned person. You might be able to tell from the fact that I have a thing for time periods and settings that are at least 100 years old for the most part. But you know, it's like a thing. It's a thing I've got going on. It makes me a little weird or different compared to other people. I feel a little behind sometimes when people are talking about, like, when people have like that influencer hair. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, they've got the side fade and like the hair on top is super curly. It looks like they've got a mop on their head. Like I see things like that, and then I'm like, am I out of touch? Because I'm starting to think I don't want to be in touch. No offense to people that have hair like that. Admittedly, part of the reason why I say that is I can't grow hair, you know, being a banana and all, but you get what I mean. Would I wear a wig to look like an e-boy? No, I don't think I will. It's like you said, find what you're about and stick to your guns. Yeah, just do that. People will respect you infinitely more for that than for, like, sticking with what everyone else is about. Because what everyone else is about, it's gonna change. But you're gonna be you forever. Or at least as long as you care about it. This is a stealth mission I'm doing. These guys are, there's a lot of these men, and they're all kind of like lining up in all the same spots. It's kind of funny. We are okay, ladies and gentlemen. I'm fine. Who needs guns? I swear.
Still nothing. Last guy better be carrying something. Not the sheep. What is it? Nope.
I like it when you play stealth-based games, and there's kind of like there's like a bit of a grace period after someone sees you, and you get to there's a bit of a grace period between when someone sees you and when it counts as you being detected, because that kind of makes sense. Like, someone has to see you, and then they have to react, and then they call the alarm or do something. It's a little easier too, which I appreciate.
Sam, I visited the temple. Got all three guys. Nothing.
The roll sheet eludes you. This makes me sad. Yeah?
Yeah, but I did find a note. They're meeting in a couple of days. Apparently, it's important.
Then the roll sheet will be at the meeting. I am happy again. In the meantime, there's something I must...
Sam's so quirky.
Want to come a ride?
Sure.
Wunderbar. Meet me.
Wunderbar.
I have a situation.
Did you forget he was German? He's German. I actually went to Germany once, and I think one thing I was surprised by, like, this is a surprising amount of European countries, but I feel like Germany, it's very present where, like, so you'll talk to someone and they just have good English. Like they'll just know, like they'll be speaking in, like, you know, intense German with someone else, and then if you ask them a question in English, they'll just respond with perfect English, and you're like, oh, okay. Wasn't expecting that, but all right. Thought there was gonna be a language barrier, but I guess not. These people are just that diligent. I kind of wish there's a first-person game that had a system kind of like Mario, where if you land on someone's head, they just flatten like a pancake. Oh yeah, so many of my German relatives speak English very well, better than I can speak German. I bet. No, I don't know if it's the education over there or something, but I feel like the Germans I've met have spoken very good English. Like, I met some French people, and they speak pretty decent English. Their accent's very heavy, obviously, but they know definitely more than enough to, like, talk well. And what was it? I think it was like a mixed bag in Italy and Spain. But the Germans definitely speak English pretty well. Whenever I run into someone that speaks, like, their native language, but also English super well, it kind of makes me feel a little bad, because I never stuck with a language good enough to become, like, properly fluent in it. Like, I think the closest I ever got to was French, but I never did, like, full immersion with French, so I was able to understand some language, like a lot of, like, plenty of sentences and words, but I never was able to actually have a conversation. Which, always made, I always kind of felt a little bad about it, and now that I haven't really kept it up, it just kind of didn't, I'm pretty sure I've lost a good amount of it. I could probably pick it back up and then maybe become fluent if I, like, really stuck to it, like, every day. But I need to find, like, a program for that. I'm a little too awkward to go and find people to speak French to, because I would not be able to converse, like, as I am right now. Like, I'd probably be like, oh, bonjour, je m'appelle Moussa, j'aime les jeux video. Yeah, it's the everyday thing, immersion is key, I know. And then, like, the French person would probably just completely obliterate me on the response. It's a thing of great nerves for me. I don't know. I kind of want to pick up Korean sometime. I know a couple people that speak Korean. It seems like a cool language. Ugh. Good. Actually, I went to the gym yesterday, and I increased the weight of the dumbbells I'm lifting, and I handled it pretty well, which does mean I'm getting stronger, which I'm happy for, but also my fucking my muscles, they ache. Acquired the Bushman for, I think that's, yeah, I got all the radio towers. Last radio tower down, 2 more outposts to go. The trade-off, swole but sure. It's the pain is worth it. It's formative. You know, I need to suffer to learn out of books, and I need to suffer for my muscles to learn how to be bigger. Come on, turn off, turn off, turn off. Okay, cool. As long as I don't activate the alarm, I'm fine. I remember the first time I played this game, I remember noting that there's that one animation we just saw with the takedown where Jason runs up to a guy and stabs him through the front of the throat, and then like the guy's face looks. I remember thinking to myself, "Wow, it's like really it's really interesting how uncomfortable he looks being stabbed straight through the throat." I was like, "Wow, that's interesting. I didn't think about that, about how much it would suck to get stabbed like that." Ugh. I can't wait to have giant arms so that I can hug like 4 people at the same time. It's gonna be so fucking awesome. I'm waiting for this guy to turn around so I can jack him. I can just fucking jam, just jam it in. Ooh. These privateers make some goofy noises when they notice that someone's fucking dead. Like, I think the sound I would make if I noticed someone was dead wouldn't be, whoa! I think it'd be, oh, Jesus Christ. I think that's what I would say. Probably holy shit fuck or something like that. Size of arms is directly proportional to the intensity of hugs. I will hug powerfully. The power of my affection will be nothing short of divine. Alright, I think we just cleared out the whole island. Take a look-see, is that all of them? They put like a little... Yep, 34 out of 34. Alright. Did that all without shooting a gun, I think, so I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah, so this is the game's whole map. If this little thing bothers you, I am sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. Like the whole like jagged thing here. Like this is what the map looks like when it's completely revealed. So yeah, they're kind of amorphous, aren't they? They don't really look like anything. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this chunk of the game. I've pretty much cleared out the whole map. I'm glad I did this because this means I've got fast travel points like all across the map now, so I can just teleport wherever I need to be for the main missions. And I think starting next week we're going to start doing like the actual main missions and then see if we can get through the game. I don't think we've done a couple missions already. I don't think the story's that long in this portion of the game, so I think we'll actually be able to finish it next week. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. But for today, I think this is going to be it. Let's see. Tomorrow I'm going to be playing a bit of Hunt Showdown. That's probably going to be pretty chill. Might complain more about video games. I don't know. I'm kind of quirky like that. But right now I think I'm good for today. So I hope you all had a good time. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you as always for providing me company. And I hope you have a good weekend. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Goodbye.